Hello, friends. We are back with another new review for Married to Medicine Season 10, Episode 1. Same original chaos. Like this, but it felt. I like that we have a new cast. It feels like something new, but it's still kind of like the same old chaos. And they came in with just like excellent shade at the top of the episode. So, like, yeah. I thought we were starting, like the way it was building, I thought we were starting out with a group event, so I was getting very excited. But I do like that they kind of just threw us right in there, and we are with, Jackie and Heavenly, and they're at some event for Phaedra's vault thing that I didn't know anything about, but they're there, and this is our introduction to Phaedra. I like that it wasn't super drawn out. They did their couple of their clips, and the ladies gave their opinions about her. And, they kikied and they cackled. And we got a little flashback to, like, Phaedra and a Housewives reunion. So I thought that was cute and that was good enough. I like that we got down to the real as well. Like, at first it just felt like the flattery of it all. Like, oh, Phaedra's this and Phaedra's that, da-da-da-da. But I like that Jackie was like, she's slick and we're going to be watching her, period. I also felt like it was weird that I think we all just knew. Like, we know what happens with Phaedra, so we all were all kind of just like, oh, she's dating a doctor now, so that's her connection to the show. But we knew that it just was not going to be the tea that we thought was going to tea. And obviously, when they're showing the man, we don't even get a name for real, and then they're blocking out his face in the picture. So I'm like, I knew this was going to be some BS. Like, y'all just wanted Phaedra to be able to come back to Bravo in some capacity, and so y'all pushed this and made it work. So kudos to y'all, I guess. We get a quick little check-in with Simone and Cecil, and they're talking again about how their marriage is stronger and their relationship is better. We get it, you know what I'm saying? I know that you guys almost went through a divorce and, you guys are working every now and then, but, there's only so much that we can, continue to hear, but I guess their update is that they scrapped the relationship advice book because Omarosa told them last season, if they're going to do the book and really discuss it, they need to get into the nitty gritty of their divorce and the breakdown and how they came back up. And they weren't willing to do that. So I did think that it was interesting that they're saying, for the sake of not going back down the divorce route, we decided not to do the book. I kind of feel like, even book aside, like, why not kind of get to the nitty gritty of what happened and discuss it in context? Because why kind of brush under the rug? Is it really truly resolved if you haven't really gone through that? That's what I felt like Omarosa was saying. I didn't think she was saying don't do the book because you're going to have substantive conversations about this breakdown of your marriage. I think it was have the conversation and then try to give advice. But they ain't trying to talk about it at all. So that's interesting. But then in that, we have Toya and Eugene showing up saying, that they were going through a rough patch in their marriage, but they came to Simone and Cecil for advice, and they sat them down, and they lectured them. So now, that's pushed them forward, and I guess that's how we're getting this connection between, Toya's going to be hanging out more with Simone or something like that. Okay. We're back to the furry event, and I guess it was Phaedra that was asking, like, have y'all talked to Quad? And Phaedra clarifies in her confessional that she's, close to Dr. G, and that's how she met Quad. Like, she knew Dr. G, like, as soon as he moved to Atlanta or something like that. And then Heavenly's like, it was Heavenly or Jackie? No, it was Jackie. Jackie was like, oh, well, Quad said that you dated Dr. G. So it was like, oh, well, Jackie's in on the tea, so this should be a good season. And Phaedra kind of dances around it like, no, we don't really get a good answer. And then Heavenly says in her, her confessional, she's like, well, the truth ain't in Phaedra. So again, like I said, I'm glad that we're getting to the true tea and we're not just going to glorify it like, oh, this is our good friend Phaedra and she's dating a doctor. That no, this is the same old Phaedra that y'all know from Atlanta, but now she over here. They put her over here, and so we working with her. I can appreciate that. Kind of in the speculation of the talk about Quad was that, she might be still upset from what happened at the reunion, and Heavenly is just like, I'm not going to feed her ego. She gets her little shade in there, Quad. I always wonder, like, what's really rooted in full shade or what's rooted in fun shade, because they seem to be good. Like, we've seen them do a YouTube video or whatever prior to the season airing. But in this one, she's saying, Quad's probably on the jet looking for a Nigerian man or sleeping with your man. So, I don't know. I don't know if that was supposed to just be in fun. I don't know if Quad's going to take that in fun. But also, I got because we have tea that Quad didn't join until a little bit later for this season. So I'm wondering if what they're filming that we're seeing right there is when Quad had joined, or was this prior to? And so the girls were still able to maybe throw a little bit more shade at Quad because Quad wasn't going to be there to respond, but now Quad is. You know what I'm trying to say. So that's all I'm trying to put together. Speaking of what I perceived as shade towards Quad, we're back at Simone and Cecil's house, and Dr. G shows up with his new fiance Leticia, or Sweet Tea or whatever. I don't know what Cecil's tea is with Quad, but he, is in his confessional talking about, well, Dr. G has never looked happier, and I think he really leveled up. And I'm like, what's that supposed to mean? But okay. And we get this very cringe story about, because they asked Dr. G how did he land on, Sweet Tea. And he says, when I got divorced, my DMs were lit. Like, I would get girls sending videos of them showering and blah, blah, blah. And she's kind of looking at him like, and I'm like, but then I got even more like, when she got her confessional, and she's like, I was one of those girls, very, very proudly. And, she shows us the DMs, and I guess she slid in his DM and was just like, I can handle things for you, or something like that, or I know what you need, or something very weird and not context. So I'm wondering if there was a shower video above that they neglected to show us. But she sent him a message like that, and that hooked him. And he's like, well, you're not even in Atlanta. And she's like, well, I'm not far. She was in D.C., I guess. And he flew her out. And as soon as she got out there, baby, she had on some Chinese, what do you call it? A Chinese Korean type of black gown. And they showed us some pictures of her bent over the couch. And I'm wondering if this is a recreation, or were those the pictures that she took when she flew out to see him? Because I wasn't really impressed by him. But I guess that got him to fall in love. And he told her that he loved her on the first link up. And here we are today. So, that's quite the story. I'm kind of glad that they got it out in the episode. They don't need to tell that story ever again. You know how people tell the story about how they met, maybe at the wedding reception? They should just go ahead and not even, yeah. I did find it interesting that she's 31. She's only a year older than me. So I'm wondering, how old is Dr. G? And immediately, I'm going to be honest, I'm getting some plot vibes. Like, she slid in his DM from DC and got fluid out and, got the hookup. That's kind of how I'm feeling. So I can't help but feel that way. We move on to Alora's prom shopping. She's just so cute to me. And I just love her relationship with Heavenly. And the first dress she tried on was super cute. So, of course, I went to her Instagram, and that is the dress that she wore to prom. So that was cute. They're also discussing FAMU, and I thought it was funny how Heavenly's like, she wants to go out of state for college, but I hope she don't do what I did. Meet a man that lives somewhere else because I'm supposed to come back home, and I went off with that man. So, I thought that was some fun tea to hear about Heavenly. I always enjoy hearing about her. We get to the engagement party, and well, basically, Heavenly is on the phone with she on the phone with Jackie, preparing for the engagement party. She's like, "Why is it called a hoedown?" Because it was called a hoedown. I get the play on words, because like hoedown for like a country thing, but also like down because you're getting engaged, so like you being taken out the game. So I understood that. I didn't necessarily mind it, but Heavenly found it to be tacky, and I mean that's fair. They also discuss, interestingly enough to me, that this house, because I guess I had never really gotten too much into it. The first season of Married to Medicine that I watched was the one where Quad and Dr. G were getting a divorce. So that was the first season I've ever seen. So I hadn't gotten too much into the house. And they discuss that's the house that Quad used to live in. So I'm like, oh, that is interesting. And they're going there for the engagement party. So they still calling it Quad's house. And Heavenly says the house looked better when Quad lived in there because Leticia is more so giving Tarjay vibes. Nothing wrong with Tarjay. I do like Tarjay, and Tarjay is expensive. But I understand what she was trying to say. I saw the picture of what she was saying. But when I saw the house, I mean, granted it was decorated for the party, I thought that it looked nice. And again, I didn't have anything to compare it to because I don't remember when Quad lived there. They did show the clips of like those purple walls, which I think that's awful. But, how they living right now looks cute. You know, Jackie even gets her shade in there about when she met Leticia or Sweet Tea, and she's like, you know, I didn't know if she was dating him or if that's somebody he used to babysit. So I'm like, okay, I'm living for it. Like, man, I feel like the girls got a rest, and they came back this season. They were ready to, because last season was good, but this is some good shade on day one. It just feels so like I feel like I just had a fresh drink. On the way to the party, Simone is riding with her new bestie Toya, and they're talking about Heavenly and where they stand with Heavenly. And it seems like Simone, I'm always confused about the Simone and Heavenly of it all, but it seems like Simone is kind of just like, I take Heavenly as she is, and it is what it is. It seems like they get over things pretty quickly. Whereas Toya is saying, like, you know, she's obviously had her issues with Heavenly, and she feels like Heavenly uses her social media to talk badly about her friends. I don't. That's such an that. Ooh, I'm so tired of hearing about that. But you know, she says that Heavenly has been giving her efforts to do better. So we'll see how long that lasts. Is what she's saying. Again, you know, I thought the party looked really cute, and I like me a cowhide, so I thought that was cute. They went really full fledged with the theme, so that was nice. Heavily, I noticed that Heavenly had another friend, so I'm wondering if she's gonna really join the show. And I'm like, damn, Heavenly really be having the friends, because she had the dentist last season that didn't come back, and I kind of liked her. Was she a dentist? No, she wasn't no dentist. Whatever the girl did, she had her last season. Finally, when Heavenly and Toya see each other, you know, Toya repeats what she said, and she's like, you know, Heavenly, you were really like nice to me at the reunion. And Heavenly jokes, she's like, I'm always nice, ask Simone. So that tells me that there's something going on between Heavenly and Simone, but when isn't there? They talked briefly about Eugene losing weight, and he said he was getting some type of shots from Jackie. I don't remember what they were, but there was some shade thrown at that when Quad and Heavenly did like a YouTube video right before the season came out, and they were talking about it. So I'm wondering if that's going to, they talked about it, so I'm wondering if that's going to be a thing or if they were just highlighting it for the time being. Getting into the tea, Heavenly, you know, in front of the group, they're kind of like sitting by the door, so it's giving me like wind down of the party vibes. Like I didn't see them do anything party, like I saw them sit by the door. So that was something. But Heavenly asked Sweet Tea, you know, what do you like most about engagement? And she says, the access to the money. And I was waiting for her to be like, I'm just playing. You know, like I'm just kidding. But she never said that. She never said that. Everybody's like, and it didn't really sound like it just wasn't like a kiki. Like sometimes, you know, you say stuff like that and it can come off like a kiki, but they don't know her, and she's also younger than Greg, and they also met on social media. So it's an interesting dynamic and an interesting background for a joke like that. And so Heavenly asked her, you know, have you ever been called a gold digger? And she at first she says not really. And Toya says yes or no, baby. And she's like, well, no. And Toya said, well, say no. You know what I'm saying? So thanks for helping her out. It felt like Toya did want to help the girl out because, you know, Toya doesn't have many allies in the group. So she was trying to be helpful, which is nice. And Heavenly says in her, you know, her confessional that, well, Quad was a gold digger, which I'm wondering again, how will Quad respond to that? But she's like, Quad was a gold digger, but this one is like a iron digger. She's a step below. So I think it's clear that Heavenly is not feeling, you know, Sweet Tea. I don't think there's anything wrong with her. I think that it's an interesting situation, and I am interested to see how it plays out. It being the marriage thing, but I'm not necessarily her as a person is the problem for me. This for me really gave me like maybe Quad hadn't signed the contract yet, because again, I feel like there was so much shade trying to be thrown at her, but I think it was being given. I could be wrong, but I think it was being given because they thought that Quad wasn't gonna get a chance to respond on this same platform. Like Quad wasn't there. This was giving me the way Toya was giving it was giving me Quad's not on the show. Just like when Toya. Remember when Quad wasn't? I don't know if y'all remember this tea from social media, but when everybody had kind of signed their contracts and I guess they had started filming and Quad had not, Toya was like in Glam or whatever doing a video on Instagram, I believe it was, and somebody, I think she was on live, and somebody asked about Quad coming back, and she threw some shade at that, and then subsequently Quad came back some time later. So this feels like that. Toya's like, we don't want to, again, like I said, she's trying to butter up to the girl, and I guess I didn't think about this either. She has no allies in the group, and this is somebody that you would perceive would be, an adversary to Quad, and Toya don't like Quad, so I could see her jumping on that side of the fence. And so she's telling the girl, like, we don't want to be weird with you. Like, obviously, we know his ex, and, certain people have relationships with her. And she's like, speaking of Phaedra, like, are you helping her with her DUI? Like, being a mess. And I honestly hadn't heard about Quad having a DUI, and if I did, I kind of brushed past it. I don't know. But, they didn't really dig too deep into that, and everybody else in the group is like, well, I don't really know anything about that. And I don't really know. I definitely feel like that was, without any explanation, Toya was being messy, but I'll go into why she was being messy. Everybody know there's 5,000 different types of lawyers in the world, and if anybody know, Eugene and Toya know about a lawyer. So the whole thing is, I don't even know if Phaedra does that type of law. And I don't even think that Toya knows if Phaedra does that type of law. So it's like, girl, sit down and shut up. But this gets us into a discussion about Quad, and the undertone of it to me felt like there's some of the ladies that are okay with throwing shade at Quad, and some of the ladies that are like, why are we discussing Quad? Obviously, Sweet Tea is like, we're not going to make this about Quad, right? And you can see her getting agitated. I think also because the ladies are sitting down cackling and she's standing up the whole time. I'm sure that her feet hurt in those boots, and she's trying to get in there and talk about herself and her engagement, because we're at the engagement party, but we're talking about Quad. So, and then in an awkward spat, we get, Sweet Tea talking about the fact that, well, I like this too. She didn't throw any shade at Quad. She's just like, look, Dr. G's in a more settled place and he wants to start a family. That's where we're at. That's what we're doing. We talking about that. So she's like, Simone referred me to a doctor for fibroids, and that obviously without context had me thinking like, oh, maybe she has some fibroid issues, so she's trying to deal with that because it may be affecting her ability to have kids. That's just what I'm coming to a conclusion of, because they didn't get into it too much. And then, Heavenly being Heavenly is like, well, why didn't Simone refer you to Jackie? And I think it's because Heavenly always has this through story of like, well, Simone and Jackie are not really friends like that. But it has never really fully developed itself, or never really fully been told for whatever reason. Maybe some production protection, but it has never really come out. So I was thinking that this is maybe an effort for Heavenly to throw some shade at that, because Heavenly's good at that. Like, she'll just throw some shade at a situation and sit it right there and let it go. Like, she won't really fully develop it. She'll just put the bug in the ear. So that's what it felt like to me. And Simone immediately got very defensive. I can't say that it was this case specific, because I do feel like Simone tends to yell pretty quickly in response to everything. But it did feel like there was already some built up agitation with Heavenly, and she's like, I referred her to a specialist. Jackie's not a specialist in that, but Heavenly's like, but she's a surgeon. So I don't know all the different types of doctors. I don't know if Jackie would have been the greatest patron for that. I don't know. But I get the sense that it was a valid argument. I don't think that, obviously I think Heavenly brought it up to be messy, but Heavenly's also smart. So I think it was valid in that, something that probably went way over my head. I think that Simone definitely probably could have referred Leticia to Jackie, but she referred her to somebody else. And I think there is a bit of tea there, but that could just be me digging. But I think that, again, I think if Heavenly brought it up, there's some merit to it. And Jackie didn't really have much to say about it. But she did clean it up, and she's like, Simone would be, you'll be in great hands. So I would like to get some more tea on that, though. Like, I would like to know. I know that Heavenly goes live typically about the episodes, I believe. And I want some more tea on that. And at the end, we get some more fun shade, which I liked. I liked they're on Phaedra's heels. They need to be from the jump. Let her know. And she's like, well, before we end, I want to make something clear. And Heavenly's like, what? Did you didn't sleep with Dr. G? So, and we go to commercial. So it works for me. We get back, we're doing that montage of like transitional scenes before we really get back into the episode. And we did get to see a little bit of Phaedra with her sons, which I hadn't even thought about. Like, in this whole, like, build up of knowing that she was coming on the show for 500 years, because they've been talking about it forever. I never thought like, oh my god, it'd be so exciting to see her and her kids again. But that was a fun surprise. And the last scene is we get, Sweet Tea and Dr. G going to get their marriage license. 3 weeks before the wedding, because you know if you don't have that license, then your marriage is not valid. Shout out to Cynthia Bailey educating us on that back in the day. And you know they're talking, and she's clear that like the party didn't go the way she wanted it to. Like they were really trying to make it about Quad, and she didn't like that. But Dr. G kind of sweetens it up, and he's like, you know, obviously, you know, they've been clear that me and Quad shouldn't have been together. So like we're moving forward, and I'm happy with you now. I'm blah 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 blue 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 blue, and I'm just wanting more context. That's all. Like I'm just wanting to know. I got the DM, perfect, but I want to know some dates. Like how long have y'all even known each other before y'all got engaged? Obviously, on the first link up, on the first flight out, y'all was talking about I love you. So this moved quite quickly. So I'm just wanting to know what's the tea over here. And you know they talk in there and they're like, well, everything should be good, like we're gonna be in a great relationship, woo. But then and unexpectedly, because I always felt like production was bringing this back on kind of to antagonize Quad and get her activated. That's why she hadn't signed on yet. That was kind of my whole thing. Like I felt like production was trying to egg Quad on, and in response, Quad was like, "Well, I'm not gonna sign on because y'all are not gonna make TV out of me." So I think they started filming the season because you saw when they were talking about Sweet Tea and introducing us, they showed a clip from 3 weeks prior. So it's my understanding that they did a bunch of filming with just Sweet Tea and all of them without Quad, and it was dry as hell. And they had to do what they had to do to get Quad back. Then Quad finally came back. So I'm feeling like we're on the cusp of that, right? And so I wasn't expecting any type of negativity as it pertained to Sweet Tea and Dr. G. I more so thought it was going to be a between Quad and the Sweet Tea and the Dr. G. But I think in this cusp of thing, they picked up on some stuff and they ran with it, because without Quad, the drama had to be somewhere else. And ironically, it ended up being in this marriage. So it seems like we're going to get a lot of tea about it. And I think that Quad is going to ride around the coattails of it and kind of just be gleeful about it. And I think that'll be cute for her. Because you know, but I don't think that was the producers. I don't think that that's what the producers thought was going to happen when they started this season. So I think it should be interesting, and I'm excited to see what comes out of this. And I'll see you on the next one.